Today, we're going drag racing, is how I planned on opening this video before I hopped on the website for the track this very morning and found out that the event had indeed been canceled, effective about a week ago. I just hadn't actually got around to reading that information. So, yeah, it's kind of a bummer because we were getting the 8.1 ready to hit the track. We have slicks on the back. I adjusted my cowl tracks a little bit, messed with the settings on the shocks. And in terms of the big block here, well, I'm getting ready to lean on this thing a little bit harder. So last night I swapped out, or I added another spring to the wastegate. Normally we run a base pressure of 8 PSI and we use the controller to go up to like 13, 14. We're now, with the second spring in there, the base pressure is like 14.5, and then who knows how much we can raise it to with the controller there. And I also flashed in another tune-up with a couple more degrees of timing in it. So I'm getting braver as we get closer to having the 547 ready to replace the Junkyard 8.1. I'm like, maybe we'll lean on this thing just a little bit harder and see how much we can get out of it. Because, yeah, the 8.1s do have a reputation for being a little bit weak. Maybe that reputation isn't exactly accurate. So I was ready to find out how fast we could go. I want to get this thing as quick or quicker than the all-wheel drive LSA truck in the 8th mile. But long story short, we're not doing that today. I am going to try to find a backup plan. That particular track, they only hold events like once a month. So I want to find something quicker. I'm looking between Bandimere and Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Both are a bit of a drive. We do have family in Colorado. So I don't know. We'll figure that out. We are going drag racing sometime, hopefully sometime soon. So today we got a few parts from not the junkyard, but from a donor vehicle a local friend Chris had. He let me take some things off of it. So we're going to be correcting some mistakes that I made on this truck all the way back in Tennessee when I basically first got it, when I was doing the 8.1 swap for the very first time. So anyway, here's a quick look at some of the parts that we got. Got ourselves a Hydro Boost. We got ourselves a brake pedal. We'll put those in sometime soon. We also grabbed, if you'll notice something special about that front differential, I grabbed another one of these because, I don't know, I'm doing some thinking about the future of this truck, and maybe, who knows, maybe that'll happen, maybe it won't, but that's a plan. So anyway, today we're actually going to be doing something that's completely boring, talking about glass. Whenever I guess it's on this side, I got to show you. Whenever I was building the motor mounts for the 8.1, I did some cutting and grinding, and the way my shop was laid out in Idaho, the welding table was like right here beside the truck. And I didn't have a lot of space. I didn't have like a big empty area behind there. So totally avoidable, but you can see all these these little spots on here. Those are all like metal shavings, or not shavings, but like the sparks that embed themselves in the glass. And then of course the truck's set outside and they kind of start to rust. So both of these pieces of glass on the extended cab part and the door have a bunch of rust pits in them. So we're going to be swapping those out. And then I also have the Denali door panels from another donor vehicle that I grabbed, which we're going to use to swap these out because, yeah, we got some staples in here just to hold that cloth on. And the Denali has leather, and this like rattles like crazy and bugs me. So just kind of doing some interior updates on the old ugly truck, trying to make it a little bit nicer on the inside. If I were smart, I probably should be gutting the interior to make it lighter, but it's just too comfortable. Like, it's a fun truck to drive. So I don't know, we're doing this weird in-between race truck, street truck project. So let's tear this thing apart with the most exciting project that you're going to see all day. A lot of you guys probably don't know this, but I actually grew up doing auto glass. Like, my dad has a glass company that he started pretty much like before I was born. So all through high school and a little bit after college and stuff for the summers, I did windshield replacements, side glass replacements, all kinds of stuff. So this is my first part of my career, doing auto glass. So every vehicle has a little bit different method of holding the glass into the regulator. This one, basically there's 2 bolts here and here, and there's like a little, I don't know what you call it, like a sandwich that just kind of grabs on the bottom of the glass, pushes up and down. So all you can do, loosen up these 2 bolts here, lower the whole assembly. I think you gotta loosen up the tracks like here and here. No, not that one. Here and here probably. And then just kind of shimmy the glass out the top. Someone actually glued the glass into the track. Lovely. Why in the world would you do that? The rubber's right here the whole time. See, this was actually, the glass is supposed to go like inside like that, but they had this on one side, and then they put a bunch of glue on this side. Like, come on, simple mistakes. I'm just glad that rubber's in there so I don't have to go out and buy it. Buy a whole new regulator. Sometimes I just question the future of humanity. A little while later, we have the front glass taken care of. That's pretty straightforward. I think I showed you in the footage there, but somebody actually had the glass out of this truck at some point. There's that little rubber isolator, I guess, that kind of separates the glass from the window regulator because there's that metal clamp. And they had doubled up the rubber on one side, probably mistakenly, and they glued, or it looks just like RTV silicone, they put some glue in there on the other. So simple mistake, maybe. We corrected that. The glass is now back in and we have no more pits. And then we get the rear glass cut out because that's actually held into the truck with glue, or urethane actually. You can kind of see right there, that's where the side glass is bonded to the body. And that's actually the same way that windshields are held in, which I need to replace that one because it's really, really cracked, and back glass and all sorts of stuff. So anyway, yeah, glue is what holds this in, and that's how we're gonna have to put it back together. I did actually break, I didn't break the glass, but I broke the glass separate from the plastic track, or frame, I guess, that actually is glued to the truck. When I got the donor piece at the junkyard, or from Chris rather, not the junkyard, I did take the time to actually cut it out in one piece so I can glue it right back in. I know some guys will actually take the time to somehow, I don't know how they do it, but you can actually supposedly separate this glass and put it into your existing frame so you don't have to mess with the glue, but I wanted to mess with the glue because why not? So this is the new assembly all in one piece. You can kind of see it's hinged open right now. That's kind of how it works. But anyway, there's a thin bead of urethane that we're going to have to apply around the outer edge, and then we'll glue it into the truck. We'll put some tape on the outside. It does have these little clips here to sort of kind of help hold it in, but I always put masking tape or something around the perimeter just to kind of hold it in place while the glue dries. Grab this stuff from AutoZone. It's the only urethane that they had, so hopefully this works. It's not the brand that we used to use back in the day. One more difference is we used to use something called pinch weld primer, like in case you, while you're cutting the glass out, you scuffed the metal behind here. So I was very careful not to get any scratches in the paint sort of on the outside edge of the urethane, just because, you know, moisture and rust and stuff like that. But I didn't do any of that on here, so we're just going to kind of glue it back in. Hopefully we're good to go. And then one more thing I wanted to show you. The old door panel right there, you see there's no speaker grill in it, so I have another one of those. And they took the speaker wires, they routed it around here, and then they ran it back through that little accordion tube thing, and then they mounted those speakers under the seat there. So I actually did buy some 4x6s just so I can put them in the door and get rid of that speaker box, and I have a new door panel with a grill on it. So we'll take care of that after we get the window glued in. That's my next step. So this stuff is really, really messy. You do not want to get it on your fingers, so wear gloves if you're going to attempt this on your own. So every time I work on the interior of the UglyTruck, it gets a little bit less ugly and a little bit more comfortable. And we're almost to the point where it's almost as good as new on the inside. When I bought this truck, the inside was trashed. The dashboard top was busted up. This thing rattled, it was noisy, and it still does leak a little bit of air when you go really, really fast. But now we have almost restored the interior, I guess. That's a good way to put it. We have a new Denali dashboard, center console, gauge surround, instrument cluster. Basically everything you see right here, except for the seats, is from that Yukon Denali that I pulled the all-wheel drive stuff from. We got the full console, that's pretty nice. It's got the cup holder thing that you can open and shut, that's pretty cool. We got the disc changer, which that doesn't work. The trip computer, I did wire that up. I think that's pretty swell. Cool. It's pretty awesome how that thing works. It'll show you top speed, fuel mileage, and all that good stuff. Eventually, or very soon actually, we're going to be taking the radio, and I think I can get the radio down here because that's a single DIN opening. And then if everything works out how I think it's gonna, we'll have a special gauge display screen that's gonna go right here. So that's pretty awesome. And then now today what we finished up, we got the glass with no rust pitting on it. We have a door panel that actually has the mesh grille. We have the speaker in there where it belongs instead of under the seat. Had some 6x9s in there. They sounded okay, but I'm not like an audiophile. I just like speakers that actually play sound. So I'm glad that looks how it should now. The Denali door panels look so much better than the other ones. There's no more staples holding that stuff together. Yeah, so even though it's still called the UglyTruck, it's a lot more comfortable on the inside. And we weighed the trucks last time. We talked about weight reduction and all that. And even though it's just plastic, like for example, 2 door panels plus the extended cab panel, I mean, every 5 or 10 pounds here and there kind of adds up. So I don't know. I'm never gonna gut this truck, I don't think. I love how it looks and it's comfortable to drive. We do need to come up with a roll cage at some point, so I've got to figure out how to tie a roll cage in without losing a whole lot of amenities. I probably will have to get rid of the back seat at some point, but I do want to keep a lot of this intact, even with a roll cage. One more thing I swapped out was the power window switch. That didn't work before. You had to like hit the button 7 or 8 times to get the window to go down, where now we've got another one. The only part that I don't like about the interior of the truck is on this door panel, we are still missing the little speaker grill, and this trim here is kind of busted out around the handle. And I couldn't grab this from the donor truck. I grabbed that side from, because I didn't realize this until I actually showed up on the truck. It was a extended cab, but it only had 1 door on that side. This was fixed, so the interior trim was different. So I couldn't grab that. So I'm still on the lookout for one. I'll have to go to a junkyard at some point, but I'm really loving how the interior came together. And there's one more thing I did, which I didn't really mention off the top here. I rekeyed the entire truck. We've got new lock cylinders in both doors. You saw me take this one out. I also did the other side. And then I also rekeyed the ignition cylinder. And the reason why I had to do that is because ever since I bought this thing, the original keys, or these are, I'm sure not the originals, but the keys that came with it is this old style, and they're just so sloppy. Like there's a lot of play as they kind of go in there. Whenever you want to start the thing up, you have to like wiggle the key up and down a whole bunch before you could finally get it to turn. And I never could get it to go backwards into the accessory position, where now we've got new cylinders in the door and the ignition setup, and now we actually have the proper, like the new bigger Chevrolet key, which looks awesome instead of those generic old ones. So that's kind of where we're at. Wish we could have gone drag racing today, but we'll figure that out in a future video. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Let me know in the comments what you want to see next to the UglyTruck. We have that big block. Like I saw, we have the head gaskets now. We're O-ringing the heads. We're putting bigger lifters in, like a larger diameter. We're doing a solid roller cam. And this process has been going on since like before Thanksgiving. So we're coming down to the final little bit of machine work and parts ordering, and then finally we'll get all the parts back and we'll assemble the 547 here in the shop. Can't wait to show you guys that. I'm really looking forward to it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We'll catch you again soon.